What up, Hepsters? Munceezy here from Intangible Roots. And today I'm going to do a little bit of a breakdown of Beyonce's Formations video. So stick with me, check this out, see what kind of conversations you can stir up from this material. This is something I do in my classes when we're looking at how to read film. We read film like we read books. The idea behind this is to provoke curiosity and getting the students to ask why and really examining what they're looking at and asking all the questions. Why is that there? Why did they choose to put the camera in that place? What does it say? We're looking at all the possibilities. It doesn't mean that things are definitive and it's like, oh, that's exactly what they meant. Sometimes we don't know that, but to create a conversation, again, you're asking the questions why. And this examines it. So what I'm going to do is give a small breakdown of 52 seconds of the film. There's more we can go into, and even in this place, I'm not going to cover everything, but hopefully you'll see what's going on. And yeah, drop in the comments what you think about this. Let me know if you recognize some of the things I'm breaking down. This is an old video, so I'm sure it's been broken down many times before. I'm just going to give my take on it. All right, here we go. All right, Hepsters. So we're starting out with Beyonce's Formations video. Now I'm going to play the video first and just 52 seconds of the video. That's all we're going to watch. So we have this word formation. And the first thing we're going to look at is the word formations. So formation, when we think about it, what is that? What is Beyonce calling for? Well, she's calling for her ladies to get in formation, which if we put the IN on it, it's information. So you're getting information to gain information. And so let's look at that. So formation also calls for what? Structure and knowledge. Again, leading her ladies to get in formation, structure, so that they can acquire information, knowledge. Also, the word formation can be broken down into three different meanings. You have for, ma, and action. While for we can look at this as for the sake of something. Ma is an ancient word for mother, and tion means action. So what are we saying? For the sake of our mothers, we must act. And this is just an interpretation of this. Again, I'm not saying this is what Beyonce meant, but when we're trying to develop conversations around meaning, this is one way to look at it. So let's go on to we're going to look at this image here, and we're going to skip past this one and look at a still image uh, because there is a conversation around her nodding her head. There's a conversation around the color scheme in this, but we're not going to get into that right now. But looking at this image, what I want you to do is focus on the two gentlemen to her left and right. We have the one man who is wearing a top hat and he has the 19th century frock coat. This represents the Haitian voodoo spirit Baron Samedi. This is giving Beyonce a sense of magic and mysticism, and there's a certain power within that. The gentleman wearing the red Moroccan fez is a symbol of worldliness, solidarity, wealth, and connection post Civil War South. This is also a nod to New Orleans. The gentlemen themselves is also a nod to New Orleans mutual aid societies. The first of which was the Zulu Social Aid Society and Pleasure Club. Black families could turn to these organizations in times of need. So with the two gentlemen, Beyonce is letting us know that she has power and wealth worldliness, solidarity, connection on her side, as well as mysticism, magic, if you will, that other world power of the ancestors. This image here, so we want to ask ourselves, what is the meaning of the Jordans? We're looking at symbolism. What is the meaning of the honey slides and the high heel boot? So each girl represents a facet of contemporary Black femininity and self expression through fashion, hair, attitude. And the shoes in particular serve as identity markers. So, what is the symbolism? What is the power behind Jordans and within the community? So, they, of course, this is street culture. We symbolizing street culture, Black aesthetic of cool, economic aspiration. Wearing Jordans is often reflects both style and status within Black communities. The honey slides. Now, honey is a quote that's made famous by Kanye West sampling of Brenda Lee's song, Sweet Nothings. It's in 1959. Kanye West sample of that phrase. And if you listen to that song again by Brenda Lee, it's 1959. The name of the song is Sweet Nothings. This is hip hop's postmodern pastiche and commodification of femininity. Another song with that same phrase, but he didn't sample, was Wanda Jackson's song, Honey Don't. And you'll hear that same phrase, honey, in both of those songs. The slides are a nod to sassiness, self-possessions, social media era of Black girl energy. And the high heel boots can suggest sexuality, fashion performance or aspiration, aspirational glamour, perhaps even referencing the lineage of grown women aesthetics and expectations of Black women to show up dressed and polished, right? Because when we think of, we have the high heel boot, but when we take that away or we deconstruct that, the heel represents something to do with class, while the class and elegance. While when we think of a boot, we often think of functionality. We work boots or what have you. So placing them two together is about fashion performance. So the hidden symbolisms to think about this is together, these girls could represent different archetypes. In this case, three particular archetypes of Black women. You have the youthful swagger. These are the Jordans. You have the hyper feminine sass. This is the slides, and sexualized power. Their coexistence in this single frame defies a monolithic representation of Black women. Their different hair colors, not specified, but presumably vibrant, echo the freedom and creativity of Black hairstyling traditions, a direct challenge to white supremacist beauty standards. Hair is not just fashion here, it is cultural armor and artistry. So the hidden symbolisms here, hair becomes the battleground for identity and resistance. The styling and color variations affirm the idea that there is no one way to be Black or beautiful. But because we're talking about New Orleans, let's look a little bit further into the hair. Now, Esteban Rodriguez Mero was governor of Louisiana for a time, and he enacted the Tignon laws, which are wearing of headdresses used to conceal hair. And this was enacted under his governorship in Louisiana in 1786. It was adorned by free and enslaved Creole women of African ancestry. The regulation was meant as a means to regulate the style of dress and appearance of people of color. Black women's features often attracted the white male gaze, and their beauty was a perceived threat to white women seeking French and Spanish suitors. Now, when we look at hair in an African context, hair will tell you, we think about Deidre Sklar, she talks about going beyond something to get at its meaning. In her case, she was talking about dance, so going beyond the movement. But here I'm asking you to go beyond the stylings to get at their meaning. And throughout the continent, hair could let you know where someone is from, what part of the continent, what tribe they are part of, what rank or station they hold within that tribe. Now, even though that as a context may have gotten lost over the years in terms of African folk, African Americans in this country, in America, the traditions are still there. So we still see Black women who are styling their hairs in these ways, or Black people in general styling their hairs in these ways. But it may not be connected or telling you, what tribe they're from or what station, rank that they hold within the society. Here, it is just about stylization and creativity and individual expression. But going back to the Tignon laws, the wearing of those headdresses or hair wraps would become stylized. Since you can't stylize your hair, you start to stylize the wrap. And over time, the wraps get more elaborate and more elaborate. And so here are just a few examples. But even going beyond the wraps, the stylings then change into hats, which is visibly seen with the Black women in church, that the stylings of the hats have just become the extension of the stylization of the wraps, which is coming from the stylization of the hair. But getting back to the video. So now we're looking in the hair shop, in the salon. Any hair shops that are selling, wigs or weaves or beauty supplies are commonly in many Black communities, but not often owned by Black folk. The presence of the Chinese shop owner gestures toward the real economic dynamics of racial capitalism. While Black beauty culture generates billions, much of that financial benefit goes to non-Black business owners. This subtle framing critiques how Black aesthetics are commodified and consumed, but not always by or for Black people, which was the brilliance of, is it Damon John's FUBU, for us, by us. So the hidden symbolism here is the shop owners, or the ownership rather, of the shop suggests the historical pattern that Black culture is profitable, but Black people are often excluded from ownership or control. It may also allude to tensions between Black consumers and Asian store owners, a topic that is rarely addressed in pop culture. But, if you're Black and you've been in the store and you buy or you leave, or, you feel uncomfortable because you feel all the eyes are on you when you're in that store. So you also can look at the stillness as resistance. So here they are poised, and the fact that the girls are not doing anything but standing in a place where Black people are often only seen as consumers, this adds to the tension that they are not buying, they are just being. They're occupying space unapologetically, also in the context of formations. So our hidden symbolism here is stillness is radical. The girls are not laboring or smiling or serving. They are watching you, watching us, and we're now implicated as the viewer in the act of consumption and surveilling them. In this next frame, we see the ladies sitting collectively poised and aware on the floor in the swimming pool, right? Their posture suggests, again, awareness, collective energy, stylings of the hair. So there's different things that we can see in terms of outfits. But the biggest thing is that they are aware and their gaze is fixed on what's in front of them. The angle of the camera, however, presents a different view. So when you look at the tiles, you can see presumably a letter X, as in X marks the spot. The X is symbolic. It is seen as the most powerful letter in the alphabet, having diverse meanings, representations of danger. It's the known, the unknown. It's death. It's the end of something. It's a kiss. It's a rejection. It can also have mystical significance as well as scientific or linguistic importance. This next scene, the ladies are sort of squared up positions, are giving a type of, nod to the booty bounce or the bounce, that bounce dance, that to bounce music in New Orleans. It's a nod again to New Orleans bounce music and the dance that is most powerful that people will call out is twerking, which means to work. In another frame, we can see the ladies facing each other, demonstrating gestures of power and strength. When one line is in motion, the other line extends their arms, forming a protective barrier. Both lines are in a staggered formation, looking to the back of the other, suggesting that they are or that they have one another's back and they can see what is coming toward them. In this frame here, we now see the ladies are standing in this swimming pool, again, pool representing a space of water, and they're standing in the formation of an X, still with the angle of the camera. It gives us that X shape on the ground with the tiles, as well as the women are making are in the formation of a letter X. And in this case, it could represent the crossroads, as in the center post in relation to Orisha Elegwa, known as Ishu Elegbara in Yoruba religion, and is closely associated with Eshu, who is a prominent deity in charge of law enforcement, the enforcer, the orderliness. The crossroads is where the Loao, the spirit, enters our human world. And though the empty pool is still a symbol of water, that X is almost similar to a part of a cosmogram, the crossroads part of the cosmogram. And it is through water that we connect to the spirit world and our ancestors. So Beyonce may be offering us insight into two main religions of New Orleans, which is Yoruba and Catholicism. Also, given the angle of the camera, the red line on the back wall could be seen as a straight line, and a straight line over an X means 10,000. So here, possibly Beyonce is suggesting, saying that we're not just a number of women in a pool, but we are standing here with our ancestors. They are not just, in this space making this letter, but they are 10,000 strong. And I think this will be the last frame. I wanted to keep this one short, but this connection between the basketball player with afros and swimming pool under Jim Crow laws, black people were not permitted to swim in public pools, but also to cut from that pool frame to the basketball players, many basketball games, particularly when blacks were playing against whites, games would take place, particularly in the South. Games would take place in empty swimming pools as black people were often not allowed to play on the same court with white players. The Afro was also and is a symbol of cultural identity in the 1960s, civil rights movement and Black Power movement. Black people gained a newfound respect for their natural and beautiful hair textures, no longer wearing processed hairstyles known as conch. If you look to the 1940s, 30s, the jazz era, you'll see people wearing conchs. This is the in which you would straighten out your curlier, quote unquote, kinky hair. The hairstyles were these hairstyles were out. The natural was more in. This is epitomized by James Brown's 1968 song, How You Gonna Get Respect? You Haven't Cut Your Process Yet. This connects to that chorus in Beyonce's song, I Like My Baby Air with Baby Hair and Afros. And this may be a visual affirmation of self-love, non-performance, and sovereignty. Well, that is it for this breakdown of Beyonce's formations. I hope you enjoyed this. I would love to hear from you what your takeaways on this is. And yeah, did you see some of the symbolism? Did you think of some of the symbolism? This is one of the things I do in my lecture classes. As we view videos, we will deconstruct or we will examine what they are, what they're trying to say, what is the meaning behind this, why is it called that, so on and so forth. So as you're moving forward and you examine things, always remain curious, ask the question why, and then look for more context behind that. If you are interested, You can DM me on Instagram and I can send you some of the readings that I offer my students about how to read film. And that could possibly help you see where we're coming from and how we're getting to where we're getting. But thank you. If you enjoyed this will be on YouTube. Hit the likes and the buttons and all the bells and the whistles and stay tuned. And I'll try to keep putting more and more things up. It's been a while, but I'm gonna try to be better at putting up some content for you all. I thank you for following me and giving me your time and energy and supporting Intangible Roots. Hope you will continue to do so, and I will continue to do my best to bring you good content. All right, peace.